So today I'll show you how to rig this mecha robot. I'll go through all the steps of how to prepare the model, how to rig it, and then in the end even how to use it as an animation. So stay tuned and get ready. So there's a big difference between rigging organic surface models and hard surface models as this one. And when preparing the model for rigging, there's a lot of things that you need to watch out before you can actually start doing the rigging. The first thing you need to do is you separate the mechanical parts. So this is something I already did because this takes a lot of time. I have my left leg, my right leg, my body, the bottom body, hand, sword, hand, right, and head. So these are all different collections. If I can show you, this one, for example, is the leg left, and it's separated by the joints here. So as you can see, I need to make sure, okay, where am I gonna bend my, where are my bones gonna be exactly when rigging? So this is, for example, one part where the bone is gonna be, and then here could actually be another part. Technically, I can also make this one apart because, yeah, this is all the ankles. Then maybe this one can even rotate around like a specific axis, maybe rotate around here. And then technically I could also make another joint here. So I also already have to think about, okay, how am I going to approach this model? The separation of, okay, I'll take this as a leg, and then maybe this one I can also separate by using, I don't know, selecting those here. Maybe this one also edit, and then I can move it to a new collection and call it upper left leg. So upper left leg, and then everything that's the rest in here, which is this one, I can just rename this collection to lower left leg. Here I can do the same. So for the right leg, I can do the same if I select those. By just pressing M, I can come into this window, which shows me I can get into a new collection. Now, upper. So now that I have disconnected, I already know, okay, I'm going to place a bone here, I'm going to place a bone there. And this is going to be a lot more easy for later. So I got to check the pivot points, make sure they're all right. And then technically, depending on how well I want this model to be, I could also go in and rename the objects to, I don't know, give them appropriate names. I can even join them together if I really wanted to. I'm not gonna do that now, and just be organized instead of naming them cube and cylinder or planes, which happens very often, but yeah. Then you also gotta make sure that the robot is symmetrical. So depending on what robot you have, of course, this one, for example, looks pretty good in terms of symmetry. If you don't have a robot that symmetries, then you just gotta approach the rigging differently, but there also won't be a problem. But in this case, we're gonna use a humanoid rig because this robot is perfect with legs and arms and body, so the humanoid rig will be perfect for that. If not, then yeah, you just gotta take a different rig. Use Meshify in a more advanced version. Okay, now we can start rigging. So you go into preferences, then you go to add-ons, you search for Rigify, here you go. You enable it, you save it, you go back. So now that we have Rigify as an add-on, when you create a new armature, and then here you see the Rigify Metarigs. So we're going to be using a humanoid one for this one. And as you can see, by default, it rotates in this direction. So we also want to have the same direction. What we're going to be doing is we're going to select everything except our Rigify. And then we're just going to rotate everything by 90 degrees. And then I would also, what I do is I would scale it down. I would take this as a 3D cursor orbit, scale it down to what seems about right. We can adjust it anyways, but around this scale, I would say sounds good. So now that we are here we have our armature, what I like to do, so this is our Metarig. We bring it out. Okay. Bring these ones here inside the Metarig. And now I like to do is I go into this one here. It's the object data properties, and then into viewport display in front. This one will just make all the bones visible in the front. So you can see the difference. And now I can go into edit mode. And this is the edit mode. So now we can edit the bones. So we will be positioning the bones at the appropriate location. If you press this X here, you can see that on the other side will be mirrored. So whatever you do on the left side, it will be transferred to the right side. So this is now the forearm one. You can even like see this is the upper arm, right? So this one means it's shoulder. This one means it's probably the elbow, which, yeah, this one doesn't really have an elbow, but I'm just gonna place it here. It's around this angle, I guess. I would just assume it's this one. And then I can place also my head and here. So here, like this, looks good. You can also get ahead and edit this one because it doesn't really matter. Here we just have a better view of it. Okay, this looks about right. And then we can even go in and be like, okay, we want to edit each individual one because they're all connected. So I can also hide it, not make it in front anymore, and I can see. Now I can even fit it in better. So now the bones are not even visible because they're inside the mesh. So, but I like to have it in the front. We can do the same for the legs. So we use this pelvic bone, put this one over here, and this one over here, so that it properly aligns. This does look pretty good already. We move it back a little bit more. Okay. And now these, I would put this one at the very back, like here. And then this one at the very front. Because this one is going to be the point where the heel is going to come up. You'll see that later. And then this one is going to be the point where the knees, and then this one is going to be the point where the pelvic bones are going to be. So here, bring them back down. And maybe even these ones. Why not? Why not bring them a bit back? So. Okay, now we come to the face. Since this robot doesn't have a face, we don't have to worry about it, and we can just delete the face because we're not gonna need it. Delete the face and the sword a bit better in his hand. Okay, that looks good. So now that we aligned all the bones properly, you can see that this is only the Metarig. So this is not the actual rig that we're going to be using to animate. It may already look like it would work because it's already having right parenting, but we're going to use this one as a preset of generating our control rig. So if you go inside here on the right side, you can see that there's this button which is generate a rig. We're just going to press on that one. So we actually don't really need the face at all. And now if we click on generate, here you go, then we can see that this is the one that we want. And now this brings us to our control rig. So these ones, this is just for the widgets. We can hide it because we don't need it. It uses custom widgets. And then this one I'm going to rename to control rig. So now you can see I can hide the Metarig since we don't really need it right now. And now if I go into pose mode here, we can see that we have a lot more controls, a lot more than before. And this is a lot better for animating. So if we only use our Metarig right now, if you only view this one, we can see that, okay, this is our center. We can move. These ones are our legs. And I don't know if you can kind of see it, but you can see that the bones are already pretty moving, like IK inverse kinematic here, and the same thing with the arms. So it's already looking a lot better. Here, for example, let's see that the whole upper body moves. We will check out the rig later once we attach the meshes to it. We get out of there, and now there are two ways of binding the mesh to the rig. One of them is by binding it directly to a bone, and the other one is by using weight paints and using more like an organic way of doing it. When I do hard surface modeling, I prefer that binding of it directly to the rig, because it makes sure that the mechanical pieces don't get deformed into any ways, and this way I just make sure which parts I have and that I can just attach it. So the way how this works is, if you go into the rig, we see under bone collections, there's a lot of different bone collections that are already here. They're already quite neatly organized, and if you go down, you see that we have org, MCH, and def. Def stands for deformation. If we unhide that, we can see that if we go into pose mode, let's also bring the rig in front, then we can see that if I move this IK right here, that these deformation bones will also move along. So that's exactly what we want. We want our mesh to attach to these deformation bones, these green ones. So what we can do is we can select the mesh that wants to attach to the bone. So in this case, we have this leg, where we're taking this one out, since we don't want this one. Okay. So this one, then we shift click into the rig. Then we go into pose mode, and then we select the bone which we wanted to attach. Then we can press Control P to parent it, and then we want to parent it to the bone. So if we go back now and we actually go into the rig again, now if we control the rig, then we can see that this mesh is moving right along with the bone together. And now we do the same thing with all the other things. So if we can select now only the bottom part, this part, then we shift click into the rig, we go into pose mode, we select the foot here in this case, Control P, bone, back into the rig, and now if we move this, you see that it follows. In this case, we would probably want this one, this in between thing, and I think there's another one here. We actually want these to follow also this one. So now if we move, we can see, let's hide all the widgets, how smoothly the leg moves together. Now we do the same thing for the top ones. How well it moves together. And I can even rotate it like this. I have full degree control. Then we'll do the same for the rest. So for the sword, I could do the same. I can actually also just attach it to the hand at the moment. Now that I attached all the mesh to every bone, I should be able to have max control. I can hide the deformation bones again. That way I only see the control now. And I can, as you can see, I can move them all around completely freely. I can give them a specific pose. I can move him around, move him forward, a bit to the side. Maybe give him some special action pose. Also something. These things, if I scale them, they can control the fingers. So as I'm scaling them, I can control the fingers, making them up and down. And I can also go in and make them individually. So these ones have a specific angle. Now this is a common issue that happens sometimes with robots whose arms are not completely straight. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take everything and reset it. And now I'm gonna take the Metarig again that we created and move these elbow bones a little bit back because they were too much to the front, so I didn't know where where the x-axis was aligned with. So now that we take them a little bit back, a little bit more like this. Now we can take the forearms and the upper arms, remove, clear their parenting with Alt or Option P. Then we regenerate our rig. Now all the other constraints should be still applied, which they are. They're working fine. Only the ones who the parenting we didn't do. Now we're gonna parent them again. So this is the ones that we didn't parent. And now you can see it's completely smooth. And it's the right angle, the bending is perfect. And that's exactly the result that we want to see. So now we have the exact result which we want. We have a fully rigged up mecha that we can now animate completely. We can apply animation on it. We can apply mockup data also. That's a different tutorial, but we could do that. And yeah, you can make him a specific fight pose. Let's just say he's holding his sword like this. So yeah, that was it with the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, feel free to comment below. If you have any questions, I'll be there to answer. And take care.